everyone, Fernanda, bassist and singer for Brazilian death metal Crypta, and you're watching RichardMetalFan.
Hey, what's up, guys? Episode 131 of Richard Metal Fan Interviews, here backstage at the Masquerade in Atlanta, Georgia. And I have the honor and the privilege to speak with one of my favorite newer death metal bands going right now. We have the amazing Crypta, we have Fernanda, Lira. How are you doing, Fernanda?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for the compliment.
And hey, yeah, I've been listening to you for a couple of years, and it's great to finally meet you in person. I'm like, you're actually real.
Yeah.
Yeah, nah, I'm good. So kind of the format is I want to do like a quick rundown of your catalog and talk about like your journey as an artist from where you started to now. But take me back to young Fernanda, Lira. What were like the first bands growing up that got you into metal? What made you want to be a vocalist and slap at a bass?
My dad is a metalhead, so I'm kind of used to listening to metal since I was a kid. My earliest memories go back to like when I was 6-7 years old. And I was definitely the first band that got me into rock and roll and metal was Kiss. My dad would listen to Kiss a lot, and then by the time I was 6-7, they had released that Unplugged album. And I remember I would love the songs, and I would see Gene Simmons. I was like, oh my God, he's so cool. Everything, all the masks and everything. And yeah, definitely Kiss. And then right after that, it was Iron Maiden, definitely. And my dad is also a bassist, so I think it was the natural choice to me when it came to choosing which instrument I would like to play, because I would watch him and was like, okay, so maybe that's what I want to do. So yeah, these two bands were the main bands that got me into rock and roll, and my dad was the one who influenced me playing bass, basically.
Awesome. And I believe from what I saw in Metal Archives, your first band was called Hellguard, and you did the Rise of a Kingdom in 2008. Tell me about that. Like, I'm digging deep. Like, nobody's ever talks about this.
It's been a while. Someone hasn't asked me a question about this band, but actually this is the first band that's there in Metal Archives. I was actually checking one of these days. Wow. But I had one or two bands before that one, but we didn't get to record anything. Right. And this band, Hellguard, it was like heavy metal. Like Warlock and stuff like that.
Ooh, very underrated bands.
Yeah, and I really, because at that time I was really into like power metal and heavy metal, because again, that's the genres that my dad would listen to the most. It was all into new wave of British heavy metal. Yeah. So I was really into all those bands, and it was really cool to actually get to play these some heavy metal in this band, and it was all girl. Like something curious that I've been noticing like over the past years is that I never played with guys in any bands. All my bands since the first band, they were all girl. Nothing against you guys, you're cool. It's just I don't know, it naturally happened. Yeah.
Yeah, and then kind of going into Hella Rise, you did Human Disgrace in 2010. Tell me about that.
Yeah, that was a nice. I really liked this EP. That was the first heavy band that I had. It was like some sort of like melodic death metal, like Arch Enemy and stuff like that.
Hell yeah, one of my favorites.
Yeah, we all loved Arch Enemy back then. So it was kind of like this. And at that time, actually, I was starting to get into thrash metal. Yeah. So, like, I wrote some of the songs there, like the death metal thing, but I was really into thrash metal at that time, and it was cool. I love that time there because it was, I think, the time in my artistic career where I would explore the bass writing a lot more, like the most. Because nowadays, like I kind of split my whole performance into like 33% vocals, 33% bass, and 33% like stage performance. So I don't do anything crazy. Yeah. Because otherwise, I'm a mediocre player. So I can, if I do anything complicated, I won't manage to do to perform the three of them. So, but when I was in Hella Rise, I would only be the bassist and do like backing vocals here and there. So I would. Yeah, my bass lines were definitely way more interesting than they are now, just because, you know, like I could.
Yeah. Yeah, and then of course Detonator was your band pre-Nervosa. Tell me about that.
Yeah, that was like I was actually. It's funny that they include me as a band member because I was never actually a band member of that band.
Really?
Yeah. I was there for I don't even think I played live with them. My memory sucks, so I can't remember. But I joined them like briefly because
edit that Metal Archives.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Metal Archives is like turning into Wikipedia.
Or maybe I'm wrong. I know, but I don't have any memories of playing live with them, really. But yeah, it's featured there. I stayed there like just a tiny bit of time because at that point I was Nervosa was getting started, and I was really focusing all my energy in Nervosa.
And how did you get to know Prika and I guess Pichu was the first drummer?
No, actually Fernanda, another Fernanda.
Oh, another Fernanda.
Yeah. And thing with Nervosa was I had just been kicked out from Hellarize, and I had like a hiatus on my musical career because I was just frustrated and everything. But then, remember I told you I was really into thrash metal already, and then I was like, okay, I want to have a thrash metal trio. Because I was listening to a lot of Coroner at that time also. I was like,
very underrated band.
Exactly. I love Coroner.
Yeah, I saw them at MDF last year.
Oh, yeah. And so, yeah, I was really into death metal and trios, power trios and stuff like that. I was like, yeah, I want to have a thrash metal trio. And I started looking for girls. And then Prika got in touch saying they had this project going on. I mean project because like there were nothing recorded or stuff like that. They were still looking for members and stuff like that. So basically, they were they were a guitarist and a drummer looking for a bassist and a singer, and I was a bassist and a singer looking for a guitarist and a drummer. So
perfect match.
Joined forces, and the moment I got into Nervosa, then I was like, I focused my whole energy, used all my contacts and all my know-how in the band, and then we started actually being like an active professional band, like recording, rehearsing, and playing and stuff like that. Yeah,
and I know you played like locally around Brazil, and then of course I think Napalm, the same label that Crypta's on, found you. How did Napalm find Nervosa at the time?
Yeah, it was actually I was before Nervosa. I was interviewing bands a lot. I was a metal journalist.
Yeah, and now the tables have turned.
Yeah. So I would do like all sorts of things like TV and radio shows and live reviews, pictures, video clips. I was producing video clips for bands. I was doing everything before Nervosa. And then I would interview like many people. And of course, like I was in touch and in contact with many people. And so when Nervosa when we released our first...
this one, Victim of Yourself. I love this. Is one of my favorite debut albums, and pretty much very underrated too. Tell me about like the making of this album.
I love this album very much. So this album was mainly written by me and Prika. We would share like 50% of like writing like of the songs and the lyrics. So it's mainly written by me and her, and also even some of the drum ideas. And then my boyfriend at the time, Amilcar, he recorded the drums because the first drummer had just left the band. And we had a new drummer, Pichu, but she would still, like, she would not have available time for recording the album. So he jumped in and helped finishing writing the drum parts for this album. And he recorded this album. I love this album.
Yeah, and I hard to believe next year will be the 10-year anniversary of this. Like, it's crazy.
Oh my God. That's right. I can't believe I have an album that's going to turn 10 years.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm kind of... That's insane. That's insane.
Like everything, like Death into Mosh Pit, the perfect moshy song, like everything about this whole album is great.
I got kind of emotional. Can you believe this?
Yeah. Hey, it's fine.
It's going to be 10 years.
Damn.
That's amazing.
And I was like,
Oh, I love this album. Like,
it's still a great debut. I loved that. And of course, when you got signed to Napalm, did you just like tour it outside of Brazil for the first time, or is it still just locally?
No, yeah, and we would do like when we released our first EP, which was in 2012.
Yeah.
We started playing a lot locally. I mean, like 100 something gigs a year. It was insane. And then by the time we released the album, then we had our first show outside of Brazil, which was in Colombia.
Oh wow.
Yeah, in 2014. And then after that, we started traveling everywhere. Like it took us one more year till we did our first European tour. So.
Yeah. Nice. And of course, your second album with Agony. I love this. This was actually the album that got me into Nervosa and discovered you all. What was that like going from Victim of Yourself to this?
I love the sound of this album, the mixing and the mastering and the recording. I love it. And there's a death metal song on this album. I remember I was here in Agony. Yeah. I was starting to really get into death metal. I was listening to Vader and
great
like
band
a lot. So I brought some of those elements to a little bit to Agony, but definitely more into Downfall of Mankind.
Yeah.
But there's a song that I consider pretty much death metal in here, which is Deception. The third song. Wow.
Yeah, that's fucking brutal.
Yeah, Arrogance.
I think Arrogance is a hell of an opener too.
Yeah,
like it's just full of riffs and everything.
Yeah, so I love Surrounded by Servants. It's been a while since I haven't listened to these albums.
Yeah, I love this. And of course you toured a little bit, but then I know after that Pichu left. What was the reason for the departure, if you're allowed to say?
Yeah, I can say that nowadays I understand Pichu's reasons way more than I understood back then. And I actually had the chance to meet Pichu and tell her that, like, I really understand you now. And that's the beautiful thing about time. It teaches you so much. And, well, back then, I mean, it was general disagreements. I don't want to dive into that, but it was general...
Okay. It's all good.
It's general disagreements. She was really not happy in the band.
Yeah. Anymore.
And I remember I was so frustrated with her and sad with her and angry with her just because she quit like by the end of the tour, and in 7 days we would start like a tour in the US, and that got me really frustrated. Yeah. But again, nowadays I understand her reasons, definitely.
Yeah, and I know in between that, I think you got our good friend Sam Landa filled in. Didn't...
I fucking love Sam.
Yeah, I've actually interviewed her a couple times. I interviewed her last year with her band Conquer Divide played here.
She's awesome.
Shout out to you, Sam, if you're watching this.
Fucking love you. Not only she was a badass and learned the songs in like 5 days and played like 2 full tours with us. One in North America, another one in Europe. Yeah. But also she's a sweetheart and I just love Sam. I miss you, Sam. Yeah. She's so cool.
And then, of course, your last album with Nervosa, Downfall of Mankind. Yes. I love this album. It's also the first album with Luana on drums. How did you find Luana?
It was actually, we had a friend in common, Edu, from a Brazilian band called Nervo Chaos. And we were in this crazy search again for a new drummer. And then he recommended her to us. It was like, yeah, once I played... there in Brazil, and I shared stage with a band, and there was this girl drummer, her name is This, and then we tried to search. She didn't have a lot of stuff going on the internet back then, so it was tough to actually check out her playing. There was one video, but we were like, I think she could definitely do it. And our music was slightly going towards death metal already, and she's always been a death metal drummer, so we got in touch with her. And then, and then she like instantly decided to join the band. Yeah, and like I remember she quit college. She was at college and she was so confident that she wanted to be in the band that she quit college. And then we did a session with her. We fucking loved her. And yeah, I'm so glad she joined the band because now she's a very important part of my life, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, and this was a really great album too. And I'm sad this was your last album with Nervosa, and of course the only album with Luana. How hard was it to leave Nervosa?
So fucking hard. It was the hardest decision I ever had to do in my whole life. Yeah. Really, hands down. because Nervosa is and always will be my baby. You know, like it will always be one of the most important parts of my life. I even have the band tattooed.
Yeah, that's inked for the dedication right there.
Forever, because it made most of my dreams come true. You know, like, so I'm very thankful, and I know how important the band was to me and how important I was to the band, and I was there, you know, like from the beginning, and I remember answering the first emails from the label and stuff like that. So I've put so much work in that band and passion. So it was the hardest decision I ever had to do. Like the first time this thought actually showed up in my mind, I did my best to brush it off. I was like, no. I don't even want to think about this. But life is crazy. Life can be really crazy sometimes. We got to a point. I loved Nervosa so much that when we were trying to write songs together, our friendship was not the same anymore. We were not friends anymore, me and Prika, and our relationship was really strained, and we were just not clicking, you know, the three of us. And then when we got to the point of trying to writing a new album, it didn't work. I could not fake it, and I loved the band so much that I was like, I don't want to ruin anything and write an album where there's no passion involved, because I don't want to ruin the band. I love it. So it was really tough. It still moves me, because I remember the hell I've been through the months before I was deciding to leave, and the years after I left. It was definitely the darkest period in my whole life. It was so tough, but I never regret it for a second. Even when I was like during my darkest periods, I never regret, because I knew it was going to be the best for everyone. And now I look back and I see how both bands are and where they're getting, and I'm very happy I did this last act of love towards Nervosa, which was like freeing it from me.
Do you still keep in touch with Prika, or?
Barely.
I noticed that you all did like a tour together with Arch Enemy and Behemoth.
It was a show.
It was a show.
It was actually the first and only opportunity we had to actually meet, and I didn't know how it was gonna be, but it was super fun. Like we hugged instantly.
Awesome.
I hugged her, and I was like, "Hey, have a nice show," because we met like right before her show. And I was like, "Well, I'm happy for you, and I'm glad with everything that's going on in your life. Keep it up."
And I know they support y'all. I know they support. I think it was like Prika shared something with the whole shit that you've all been through on that tour.
RV thing, I'm thankful, actually. I'm sure that really helped too. Reaching more people, and so but we don't actually. I mean, the reason we decided to part ways was because we were not that friends anymore. So it wouldn't make any sense that now we're not playing anymore. We're instantly friends again. I'll always respect Prika, and I always respect everything we built together. But it's just like we just don't. I don't see why we should be, like constantly in touch. We have different realities and different life environments. I mean, like friend circle. I don't know how to say that in English. I forgot.
It's all good.
So it's like, but if we meet, we'll definitely talk, and sometimes we have to talk for bureaucratic stuff, and so it's fine. I hold no grudges nowadays. And so
a possibility of a Nervosa Crypta tour.
Everyone asks me.
That you should do that, because I thought there would have been like a kind of a rivalry, kind of like Metallica versus Megadeth. But of course, that when y'all did that show together, that was proven false.
Yeah, lots of people I think were thinking about that, because that's the usual thing in metal. Like, bands are like and I was very discreet. I still am regarding everything that about the split in Nervosa. I have my opinions. I have my reasons, but not all of them have
Yeah.
to be, exposed
Yeah.
because I don't want any heat over that.
Yeah.
Like so.
Yeah, totally. Let people
So-
know it's okay to like both bands.
Yeah, it's fine. I
Yeah.
mean, before there was 3 girls living the dream. Now it's 8.
Yeah.
So that's great. And so about the tour, I think eventually it will have to happen because people
Yes.
have been asking for it so much. But I think it's just not the right time. It's too recent, everything
Yeah.
we've been through. So
Yeah, just give it
So-
some time.
yeah. But it might happen. We knew since day one that we would. It's the same metal scene. We're in the same label. We have the same booking agency. So we'll bump into each other a lot over the next years, I'm sure.
Awesome. And then how did you get to form Crypta? How did you get to know Tina and Sonia?
Actually, me and Luana we founded Nervosa. We we created Nervosa still when we were in Crypta.
Yeah.
Still when we were in Nervosa.
I'm sorry, I screwed you up for a second.
So yeah, we were still in Nervosa, and because the environment was not ideal for us anymore, we thought of maybe having a side project just to make things lighter for ourselves. But then in the end, it was a good thing when we finished, when we quit Nervosa. It was good that Crypta was there already, because then we would have something to work on and not be 100% completely depressed for leaving the band. And so yeah, me and Luana, we decided to have this band going on. And then when we thought of guitarists, like me and her, liked Sonia already.
Yeah.
Like from internet videos, we have met her briefly in a couple of occasions. So it was the first for the kind of music that we wanted. She was the first obvious option, let's say.
Yeah.
And then Taina came way later than that, like a year later, probably. Because we were trying to find the ideal guitarist, but we just could not find the way we wanted, or who wanted to commit the way we would need in the future. So yeah, and then Taina actually was the one who found me.
Oh, wow.
Because I was randomly checking on my messages, and then there was this girl, and then I opened her message, and she was like, "Hey, I saw you and Luana have a band going on. Apparently, if you don't have a guitarist, I want to sign in." And then I was like, "We're actually looking for a second guitarist. Send me some videos." And then she sent me videos playing Empty Words and Crystal Mountain from Death.
Yeah,
I was
one of my favorite songs.
I need that girl. And then yeah, I can't imagine Crypta without her nowadays. She's a very important part of the band.
And then tell me about this album, one of my favorite debut albums ever.
Thank you.
Ever. What was like making the debut album?
It was. Thank you very much. I love this record, and I love the fact that we had a lot of time to work on that because it was the pandemic. So we made sure we were very careful and methodic and perfectionist on every little note on this album because we just had time, and we wanted, because there was a lot of expectation around our band.
All songs are kick-ass. Perfect 10 out of 10.
Thank you so much. So we wanted to make sure that we released an album that would meet the expectations of the fans. So and we had time for that, which is great. So I love this album.
Yeah, From the Ashes. I know that was the first single. It's interesting that you chose the last song as the first single.
Yeah. I mean, which is fine. I love having the singles being the last songs, because then people give a chance for all the other songs that come first.
Yeah. And then, of course, what was that like playing the first shows with Crypta? Were you nervous at all?
I was slightly nervous first because back then I was still in a not very comfortable time of my anxiety disorder. So I was still getting anxious here and there, but also I was not worried of the reception or the feedback. It was not that. I was just worried because it would have been over 2 years without getting on stage. So that made me a little nervous. Do I still know how to do that because of the pandemic and everything?
Yeah.
But then first gig in, I was like, oh, how I missed this and how I love being here again.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course you played live, and then of course then you got Jessica in the band. How'd you hook up with Jessica?
Again, like we knew Jessica from the internet already. She's pretty popular on the internet because she has some amazingly viewed covers videos there, like Metallica and Iron Maiden. So I would get like videos of her here and there. And then when we knew Sonia was departing the band, we needed someone because Sonia is an amazing player. She's a very good player.
I know she played with like Burning Witches and currently killing it with Cobra Spell.
And technically, she's really good. So we were like, fuck, we really need someone who you know like can play her songs and everything. And we could only think of Jeff. There's many talented guitarists out there, but we decided we wanted to have a Brazilian girl. Yeah. And then we had Jessica in mind for a while, just because we were seeing her videos all the time. We were like, I think Jessica's gonna be the one. And happily, and then she actually initially she joined the band as
a live musician.
Yeah.
Which honestly, I kind of knew she would join, so I kind of saw it coming.
Like, cause she's a very nice person and she's very proactive, and Crypta is a busy band, so we really need proactive people. And so when we were touring, I was like, yeah, I know she's gonna stay. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I noticed you've also finished up the second album. Like, what's the status with that? Because there has to be a lot of pressure to follow up Echoes of the Soul, because that's like a great debut.
Thank you. I'm very confident about the new album. We love the songs. We love the songs. It's still Crypta, but it's definitely more atmospheric. We experimented a lot more. It's a very mature. I think it's a more mature album than Echoes of the Soul is. I love the record. I love all the songs, and the status is it's with the label already. Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be released soon. Yeah. First single is gonna be released soon.
Yeah, you'll tell me when I turn off the camera.
I might. Let's see. But yeah, so album's gonna be out pretty soon.
Yeah. One thing to note is I also like your lyrics. I also feel like they come from a very personal kind of thing. Do you ever have to put yourself in that mind frame to make the lyrics?
Yes, and this I love when people ask me about my lyrics. Actually, thank you. And if you think these lyrics from Echoes of the Soul were personal, you have no idea how the new album is, because new album is a very personal album to me. It was a cathartic experience writing those lyrics, and a very intense process, because I used my lyrics as a healing too from all the dark period I've been through. So every line you read from the lyrics of the new album, they have a lot of my pain and life in there, because they are really personal, and also the process was really personal. In order to write the lyrics, I took my diaries from my anxiety times, and I was reading all my confessions to the diaries in order to get inspired. And it was a tough process. My psychologist wanted to kill me. She was like, why the fuck are you doing this? This is so triggering for your recovery and everything. But still, I did. I felt like I needed that. And some of the phrases that are there in my lyrics, they were actually written in my diaries. So
oh, wow.
It's a very personal album.
Yeah. And of course, I also love your bass playing. I know, though, you've heard like a lot of bass player jokes and memes and stuff. But like you said earlier, you don't gravitate towards flashy bass playing. But I feel like you will try to find ways to link what Tana and Jessica are doing with the melody and what Luann is doing with them. So what's your approach to slapping a bass?
Nowadays, again, I don't want to do anything too complicated, because I really when it comes to
you're not in a technical death metal band.
Yeah, and also I really want to focus on vocals and stage performance too. So I don't want to do anything too complicated, so I can perform the 3 roles I have in a nice, decent way. But also I've been learning with Crypta, because of the producers I've worked in both Crypta albums, that I really like respecting whatever the song asks from my bass. So sometimes it's gonna be like lots of notes, sometimes it's gonna be 1 note. Yeah. And whatever it takes. I'm not there to show off my bass abilities or whatever. I just really want to deliver whatever the song needs at that moment. And also it can't be too complicated, otherwise it's gonna be fucked up for me to perform.
Yeah, and I'm just curious, like, how do you manage to figure it out, like where your hand is per note, like do.
Yeah, it takes a while. Every new record, there's this process of like learning the songs and learning how to play and sing the songs, which is the hardest. It takes me months.
Yeah,
and so
it's just
I'll
muscle
have
memory.
To start that process again. But it's all right.
Yeah, and before we go, I just want to thank you for this interview.
Really.
It's great to finally be able to talk with you. I'm glad you're still on this tour despite all this bullshit y'all have been going through. Is just anything else with Crypta you'd like to plug to wrap up the interview?
First of all, thank you for this interview. I felt really flattered that you were asking about like my whole career. This is really, really cool. I love having the chance to talk about that. So thank you. And well, about Crypta, just simply stay tuned because there's lots of new stuff to be released soon. And of course, we'll have this new album to be released and a new tours are gonna come. And I hope you enjoy the album. And if you like it, spread around, show it to your friends, and let's make Crypta stronger and stronger. We're nothing without you. So thank you for watching, and thank you for supporting Crypta.
Crypta.
Sometimes I do that.
It's all good. So everybody, Fernanda from Crypta, we'll see you next.